Welcome to BWI Thurgood Marshall Airport. Again, it's good to have you here. I'm pleased to join Maryland transportation leaders and our partners at the Transportation Security Administration to highlight the importance of Real ID and to offer important guidance to Maryland residents. We work hard to make BWI Marshall the most convenient and efficient airport for our customers. As Maryland's primary gateway for travel, BWI Marshall Airport is ready for the changes that the Real ID Act brings. Our team has worked with the airport partners and stakeholders to ensure a smooth transition for all passengers. So we're here today to remind travelers that the Real ID deadline is May the 7th, and I think we mean it this time, right? Once in effect, in order to go through airport security screening to board a flight, travelers must have a state-issued Real ID compliant identification from Maryland or another state, or an alternate form of federally recognized identification like a passport. We want our passengers to be prepared, hence this press conference. For more than 20 years, we've had a strong collaboration and strong partnership with the Transportation Security Administration, TSA, and we've been proud to work with TSA to provide a safe, pleasant travel experience for our customers. The TSA team here at BWI Marshall Airport, led by Federal Security Director Chris Mejia, the FSD, and his entire team do a great job ensuring a safe airport and providing excellent customer service. And not every airport can say that in a genuine way. And so we're very proud and fortunate to have such a positive relationship with TSA. So FSD Mejia, please come forward and highlight the role that you guys will play in the rollout of this Real ID requirement and how TSA continues to provide outstanding aviation security to our traveling public. Chris?
So good morning, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Ricky. Appreciate those warm welcomes. I just want to first start off by saying thank you to the Maryland Aviation Administration, our partners, Chrissy and the Department of Motor Vehicles. Our partnership is so strong here, in which Ricky just announced. That's what makes us so successful here at BWI Marshall Airport. And I just wanted to thank the both of them for being here and supporting this initiative with Real ID. So I would like to get started just to give a little background and some concept of why Real ID is in effect. So if we all remember, back September 11th, 2001, 19 terrorists boarded 4 flights. Those 19 terrorists then took over those flights, and they were responsible for over 3,000 lives that perished that day by flying those aircraft into the World Trade Center, into the Pentagon, and into the field of Shanksville, Pennsylvania. So it was those individuals, those terrorists, actually used fraudulent IDs for getting on to their flights that day. And so it's very critical and very pertinent that we mention how much we want to make sure that the Real ID Act is enforced because we don't want another 9/11 to happen. So we want to make sure that those terrorists that took over those planes that day, the Real ID Act comes into play to make sure that the Real ID is a process in which we will know if the traveler standing in front of us is the traveler who they say they are. And that's the enhancements of what a Real ID is. And to go into some of the enhancements, it's vital and critical for us in the TSA to ensure that the driver's license and the ID documentation that is presented to us, to our officers at the ticket document checker, are exactly who they are presenting to be. And it's certainly vital for us to know that those that are standing in front of us are the ones that have the Real ID, which has the little star in the upper right-hand corner in Maryland. That's how you know you have the Real ID driver's license. And those enhancements on those driver's license make it very crucial and critical for us to process passengers in an effective and efficient way here at the airport. I strongly encourage those who don't have a driver's license that's Real ID compliant to get one as soon as they can. Our partners in the Motor Vehicle Administration are going to be very busy They're going to have a very large surge as we get closer to the enforcement of the Real ID, which, as Ricky stated, is May 7th, 2025. So we got 56 days until Real ID enforcement comes into play. So the next thing I wanted to enhance, or just to talk about a little bit, is the reason why we want the Real ID is to ensure that those passengers that are coming to our ticket document checkers are exactly who they say they are. We want to make sure that we secure these passengers that are coming through BWI Airport and get them safely to the destination in which they need to be. A couple of the IDs that you can do in lieu of a Real ID, you can obviously stay with your traditional driver's license. However, that traditional driver's license will not allow you to board a flight domestically. So come May 7th, 2025, anyone that's 18 years or older will need a Real ID to get through the screening checkpoint at an airport to board a domestic flight. They'll also need that to get into certain federal facilities, such as military bases or courtrooms of that nature. So it's very important that we stress upon the traveling public to get these Real IDs and to ensure that they are being proactive in getting before the deadline hits on May 7th. So the Real ID here, I just want to put this up. Anytime a traveler comes to the airport right now, our officers at our ticket document checker will be handing out these Real ID forms just to ensure and to remind those that do not have Real ID and are not Real ID compliant, get their Real ID as soon as they can. Some other forms of ID that are acceptable if you do not have a Real ID, of course, is your government-issued passport that has to be valid. You can also have a DHS Trusted Traveler card that is also acceptable as a identification. Global Entry, Nexus, those are some of the IDs that are valid. For those that need to see a list of acceptable IDs, you can go to TSA website, the public-facing website, and on there it will tell you what IDs are acceptable other than the Real ID. So to wrap this up on my end, I do want to say that there is 56 days left, and it is important to make sure that the travelers are compliant with the Real ID. We want to make sure you get to your destination safely. We also want to make sure that there's no confusion at the airport. And think of it this way. Come May 7th, 2025, which is in 56 days, on an average day, we screen close to 2.5 million passengers across the nation. If you are not Real ID compliant come May 7th or thereafter, that's hundreds of thousands of travelers that are going to be at our airports that are not going to be able to access the checkpoints. And so we want to make sure that that doesn't happen. We do have what we call a phase-in approach as well. And so TSA did sign a final rule that come May 7th, we'll do a phase-in approach where if you don't have a Real ID, we will have a process in place. I don't have the details for that today, but once those details are all worked out, those details will be placed on our TSA website where we'll be able to phase in the approach of the enforcement. And again, that's to ensure that we don't cause the mass confusion here at the airports, have more risks to our security personnel, to our airport personnel and airline personnel. So we will have a plan in effect, and we will have a phase-in approach. So I want to thank you all again and thank our partners here. And Ricky, I'll turn it back over to you, sir.
Thank you, Chris. And again, I want to thank you and your team for your partnership. Chris has done an amazing job, not just working with MAA, but also creating a TSA experience that is second to none in this country. So I want to thank you for that. Moving on to Chris C., who doesn't like speaking after me because she knows I never waste an opportunity to embarrass her. But it is very difficult. Might be the most difficult job in transportation to run a motor vehicle administration. Depending on where you are, it may be called the DMV, but here it's called the Maryland Motor Vehicle Administration. And Chrissy Nizer and her team they've just done an amazing job. That's why she's recognized as the best in the country at what she does. And it's been a pride of mine to work with you. I think the two of us, we were the two senior people in the Department of Transportation. So it's been a real source of pride to work with her and to see her transform MVA to what is as close as you can get in government to a Disney World or a Ritz-Carlton-like experience. And so thank you for that. She's going to do the same thing for Real ID, right? And that's what she's here to talk about. Over the last several years, she has been leading the country in attempting to roll out Real ID in Maryland, and she's going to come to the mic and she's going to share with you how we're going to move forward and what her experience has been. So, Christy? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ricky, and it's great to be in partnership with you as well as the director. I really want to start by thanking Marylanders, frankly. They have stepped up and come to the table to meet these Real ID deadlines. You can see from the signage behind you, Maryland is once again a leader, 99% Real ID compliant. That is well over what we understand the national average to be. And so we're so proud that Marylanders have responded. But for those who might still need their Real ID, we want to let you know that we are here for you. You still have time before that May 7th deadline to schedule your Real ID appointment. Our branches have plenty of capacity over the next few months, and so our agents are ready and happy to serve you. We want to make sure that if you're starting to make travel plans, whether those are for work or for pleasure, Real ID is part of that planning effort. And so if you're part of that 1% in Maryland that doesn't have that Real ID yet, we want to make sure that you know what you need to do and understand the requirements as well as the tools that we've made available for Maryland residents. So to be Real ID compliant, every Maryland resident needs to bring several documents when they come in to visit with us. One document that proves their age and identity, so that might be a birth certificate or a passport, one proof of social security number, and then 2 documents to prove your Maryland residency. Those are the documents that you need to bring in to see us. But if you're unsure and you want to look at specifically what you can provide, we've got a great tool out there where you can check off the documents that you need. You can also sign on to your MyMVA account. Encourage everybody, if they don't have one already, go ahead and sign up for that. You can do that on our website, which is mva.maryland.gov. The great news is right at the top. It tells you your Real ID status. In addition to seeing that star on your license, it's right on that MyMVA account as well. It also gives you access to many other MVA-related services, like your vehicle registration and other things that may be important to you. And if you still need that Real ID, it'll help provide you with information about next steps, whether it's making that appointment, or in some cases, some of our residents might have their documents already on file with us, so all they need to do is to order that duplicate product that will then have the star that they need. MVA is also going to be sending out reminders to our customers for those who do not yet have their Real ID. We want to make sure they're aware of that May 7th deadline, so look for emails as well as mail coming to those individuals. We do, again, as Ricky said, really want to have that premier customer service experience, and we want to make sure that when you're getting your Real ID, it's no different. Our security behind the card, and I'm so glad that the director talked about the reason behind having a Real ID in 9/11. That's something that we hold very dear. And so the security that we put in the card was top of the world. Really looked around worldwide to see what was important from a security standpoint so that the card couldn't be duplicated or replicated. That includes engraving. You can feel the card. You can feel some of those tactile images. You can see that the photo and your date of birth will change when you move the card. And many features that, frankly, we don't talk about publicly. And that's all to make sure that we're maintaining that security that's so important, not only for law enforcement, but our TSA partners. So again, if you're not Real ID compliant, we encourage you to get those documents together. Go ahead and make the appointment. Again, we've got plenty of capacity to serve you, so no need to be concerned there. I also want to encourage, we're happy to also be in the lead in terms of our mobile driver's license program in Maryland. I want to reassure Marylanders as well that the Real ID indicator is also red in terms of your mobile ID, so you can continue to use that at the checkpoint, and the TSA agents clients will know that you are in compliance with Real ID. We're close to 300,000 Marylanders that now have that mobile ID to be able to use it securely, not only at the checkpoint, but now we've also announced the partnership with the restaurants and the bars here at BWI, so you can do that age verification if you'd like to purchase an alcoholic beverage here at BWI. So I'm confident that Maryland is going to be well prepared based on the percentage of folks that we already have in compliance. We do want to remind everybody about that May 7th deadline. I know you may have heard about Real ID for many years, but we are moving forward with the implementation, so it's important that everybody is aware of that. And I want to thank all of our partners for really making this happen. And lastly, our Maryland residents, as well as our great employees at MVA who provide that premier customer service every day.